Massimo will bring to this panel discussion an industrial point of view. He has a degree in nuclear engineering from Politecnico di Torino. From May 1999 to August 2013, he worked for Alenia Aermacchi, first in Engineering Process Improvement Department, and then as Head of Program Quality for Defense Aircraft Department. Then he moved to the corporate of Leonardo, where he works in the Chief Technology and Innovation Office organization, and is also responsible for the Engineering and Technology Processes Department. So I think Massimo has all the knowledge to be part of this panel discussion. So Massimo, may I ask you a small question? What's your view about training in English versus other native local languages, and what can tell you us about national specificities in the defense context? Massimo.
Thank you, first of all, for the introduction and for being part of this panel. English, let's say, is not an issue, but we have to deal with it. If we consider that one of the topics is what is the language in which we want to deliver our courses. Personally, I still think that English is the language that we have to use. I appreciated what's been presented just before by Martin about English as lingua franca. We have to learn how to teach in English because I think that if we deliver courses in different languages, it's going to be a nightmare because the trainers know their language and English. So how can we think to deliver courses, technical courses in French, German, Spanish, Italian? I don't think it's really possible. One of the elements is that the non-native speakers of English, we know English. We don't speak a perfect English, but maybe it's more easily understood by other non-native English speakers. As an example, in Leonardo, we also do English courses. We deliver English courses to our UK colleagues because we need to teach them how to make themselves understood by our as Italian colleagues, for instance. So I think that it's something that trainers should focus on. So, and I really appreciate it because many times the technical English is easily understood. It's okay. But when you start using phraseology or something like that, maybe it's not so easily understood by others. So we should keep to the technical part. And yes, I appreciated also the fact that maybe to have some ice breaking in order to understand how the audience is in terms of English, of understanding English. So I think it's an important topic, but I wouldn't move away from the fact of delivering the courses in English.
Yes, and what about the specificities of the defense topics as far as pedagogical approach is concerned?
For the defense-related elements, I think that here the most critical element is that we are in Europe, but we have different national, let's say, laws and regulations concerning defense. So I think that it's not easy, but trainers should have a kind of knowledge about this, about the main differences at least. So maybe training the trainers about what are the main peculiarities in Europe. If we consider dual use, which is always an important element, it has different meanings, implications, and deployments in the different countries in Europe. So I think that there should be a wider knowledge about these peculiarities to have to make the courses to be deliverable in different countries, because this is an element, because I present something starting from a knowledge from Italy, for instance, but if this course will be then delivered in Germany, then maybe what I'm saying is not precise, considering German laws and for dual use, but not only. So this is I think it's an element to be considered for the trainers.
Is the national secret or national industrial secrets a problem in the defense European defense context?
Well, definitely, it's an issue. It's an issue. I bring my experience. When I had to be part of the seminar organized by Dorota, I spent a lot of time in understanding what I could share in terms of technical elements. But on the other hand, if we don't share technical elements, let's say real or almost real data and information, then what we say is not really useless for the trainees. Because one important element is that we bring if we bring the real experience, it's really useful for the trainees. If we stay only on the theoretical level, then after a while it becomes boring and useless. But when we get to the technical content, then we face the issue of, can I share this data? Can I share this information? And as Leonardo, we have internal rules to manage that. But beyond the rules, the matter is that we need to put the meat on the table, the technical content. And there, I think a wider discussion is needed, because it's not only a Leonardo issue, it's a matter of all the industrial partners, but also of the government and laws. It's not only internal rules, but national rules that sometimes prevent you from sharing some data and some information. But I think that if we don't find the right balance, we will deliver courses that are in the end not so useful for our students and trainees, and for the workers. If you consider EQF 4 and 5, for instance, it's also for workers. It's important that we do that. But as Leonardo, I can say that it is one of the main difficulties to do this.
And what about the mobility of the workers? Do you think that there's enough mobility at the white collar level and at the blue collar, and is it desirable?
You mean mobility?
Yes, because
between companies,
between countries, or okay, between countries, and also there's the issue of the reconnaissance of the degrees or the certificates, the worker certificates.
I think that we should have more mobility in terms of the fact that changing is useful, is important. But in this case, yes, you mentioned, how do we officially recognize the knowledge and the skills of the people? And in this case, well, yesterday there have been mentioned many frames, but I think that the ESCO frame is really important, because it's one that recognized, and also maybe we should focus more on the accreditation system, because that would really help understanding if that person is the one that I need for, or maybe it's okay for 80%, so that will give me the gap to be filled. And I think again that if we don't have standards and rules, it's going to be not so easy to have this mobility between companies and countries. So I think it's an important element. We focused a lot in Asset Plus on skills related to technologies. I also worked in Work Package 1, so I learned about that a lot. But I think that ESCO is one of the main pillars to work on.
And I have a last and most personal question. I saw on your CV that you published an article on IEEE transactions on engineering management. What does it stand for?
Which one? Yeah, we because I published a few articles, so I really wanted to understand which one was that. That's an article that we published on engineering performance management in company. We did it with University of Pisa, and it's been a quite interesting experience. Again, in that case, also the sharing of data coming from our company going in a publication. It was not an easy task, but we've been able to do that. The article is focused on what is the process and why did we choose those KPIs, for instance, and then what we do with the analysis of those KPIs.
All right, thank you, Massimo. Now I turn to the audience. If you have any questions to Massimo, you are more than welcome to ask them.
By Eric and by Dorota.
Okay, so thank you, Massimo, for your talk. And well, I agree with you in the point that English should be the language in which we should be delivering courses. I just wanted to put on the front that there are two things that we may be facing, or two main barriers, right? The first one is the knowledge of English of a portion of the population, right? I'm talking about, in my particular case, it could be in Spain, that many workers, for example, in EQF5 levels, they lack on the understanding of English properly.
Also in Italy.
Yeah, so I just put my case just in front just to clarify. So I don't know how to deal with that, right? This is the first point. And the second point is that it might be the case that we are missing some issues that are defense related at a national level. So for example, if you want to talk about how your country is organizing this or that reaction in the defense sector, if you are using English, perhaps some regulations are not that easy to translate, or some concepts are not that easy to put in or explain in English. So these two things could be some barriers using the language that we were using yesterday. So I don't know. I would like to hear your opinion on this.
A possibility, but I don't know if it's so practical in the end, is that if we consider the courses that we are delivering Asset Plus, in the end, what maybe could be done is that having a network of institutions, is that if we come to Italy, let's say,
yep,
maybe there could be a kind of appendix to the standard course, and maybe that appendix delivered to Italian workers or students might be done in Italian and with some specificities on the national laws. That could be a possibility, but on the theoretical level. Mm-hmm. Because then, how do we manage that? Who is in charge of that? We know that there are other kind of rules being in a consortium, but I'm answering not only considering the fact that we are in a consortium. If we want to create a real framework for skills, then we have to consider that. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I don't want to say Asset Plus 2, but another project may also focus on this. So how to close the gap. But I don't have the answer, because my answer was only theoretical, but I don't think that there are many other ways to reach this objective.
Indeed,
from the technical point of view. Then there's how do we organize that?
I was actually expecting that answer, because this is exactly what I had in mind. I mean,
it's not prepared anyway.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to tackle this issue, and I think that perhaps this requires an additional effort. How to nationalize one teaching initiative is something which is actually very hard.
Yeah. But I still think that whenever possible we should keep it to English and try to higher the level of English knowledge in the countries.
Yeah. Thank you.
But that's for the language. For the national laws, that's another element.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, I have one question. Today I speak a lot. I apologize. In the fields in the topics we address, there are, for instance, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and especially in the field of defense, our willing would like to probably design and prototype and then implement a training program with data that can be, of course, a representative, or that can really illustrate, that can be a good illustration of what the workers are using every day. So what is your opinion about using data coming from companies? This is a probably one of the obstacles, because this may be quite sensitive.
Yes, as I mentioned before, I had experienced it myself, only delivering a short presentation. Okay, so I think that when it gets to a course, then where you should put data, it's even more difficult. But it's also the only way to do real things. And so in this case, I think that as companies, we should focus on how to share the data that we have, trying to take away the sensitive information, but without losing the content. It's a challenge. It's a real challenge, because when it comes to which products you deliver, then it's really sensitive, okay? But to share a bunch of data that are, let's say, at the basis, maybe could be an idea, but it must be carefully built. It takes time, effort, and energy to do that. I don't have a precise answer on that, but it's something that would be also interesting to know from other industries what they think about this, if they have ideas on how to perform this.